Gary Comer with Soul Whisper Ministries and The Gospel Edge, his new podcast. And one of the questions that I think we should posit or think about is the gospel encompasses many aspects of living. Some would say almost everything, but not every situation that you may go through, but all of the aspects of living, pain, trauma, suffering, joy, all of these things that we go through. How wide do you anticipate these conversations on your new podcast, The Gospel Edge? And where do you, for those who are in the church and church ministry arms, where do you see these conversations or anticipate them going?
Yeah, there's no question, when we can easily talk about the gospel in a way that points back to us, like
Yeah.
what does the gospel mean to us? And in fact, I would say that a lot of the teaching, Bible teaching, and discipling in the church tends to focus back that way. It tends to give us information that is content that comes at us that is enriching for us spiritually, the grace of God, really in a way it's almost like the power of Galatians, where Paul comes into that conversation with the Galatian believers who are, hearing the Judaizers who are saying, hey, you got to keep the law too. And Paul's saying, no, 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 you don't. No, no, you don't. No, the grace of God is full and sufficient, and it is over you. And no, you do not need to keep the law as well. You are in a right standing in relationship with God, and you need to fully understand the grace of God. And so I think the gospel, when we talk about the gospel, there's so much wonder, that comes to us. And yet I'd also, and I'm going to say this in a big picture way, and I'm not wanting to undermine, some of the good teaching that's happening out there from the Bible. But, in a general, kind of big picture way, a lot of what we get out there, I've coined it hope and cope Christianity. Hope and cope Christianity. And so people come in and they hear a lot of messages that really are about hope and the hope that God is giving them for their issues and their problems and their struggles that they're going through. And God will be with you and he'll enable you to cope with your life. And do we need all of that? Yeah, we do. I mean, everybody needs input. Everybody needs to be able to, go through this life and to have the gospel over us, and there's something rich, Paul's words, being in Christ. And I love that, in Christ. It's kind of like we don't really live our lives without, this umbrella of the good news, the gospel, the grace of God over us. So I love all that. But on the other side of it, when we talk about the gospel, and we talk about, the good news that God has brought into the world to reach lost people, to reach others who are not yet in the fold, who have not yet come into the faith. Really, the gospel, the evangelist, the bringer of good news, you see, is really the primary thrust and focus of that word in the New Testament. And it's that side of things that I think we're lacking in kind of the formational side of our discipleship. And if anything, I would say that across the board, our discipleship is truncated. It tends to gravitate towards us versus towards others. And so there's kind of a lot there's a lot needs to kind of happen in that discipleship picture, that infilling of really what it means to be someone who is representing Christ to the world and who is Christ-like in the sense of Jesus bringing good news to the world. I mean, when it really comes down to it, my thought on discipleship is, when we look at our New Testament, there really is only one kind, and it's missional discipleship. It's missional discipleship, meaning if we do not have the mission element, then what happens is that we see believers in churches who really are not Christ-like. They're not Christ-like, because Jesus is on assignment from the Father. And the intimacy that we see portrayed so beautifully, like in the Gospel of John, the leading father and the shadowing son who doesn't say anything or do anything outside of being led by the Father, this incredible intimacy that is happening between the Father and the Son, this beautiful picture is mission related. What is Jesus being led to do and say? It's mission related. And so, the fact that Jesus has come, of course, he's going to lay his life down for us, right? Out of love for us. And so if we do not have that mission formation part of our discipleship that's happening, what we actually are missing out on is it's the Christ-like level of love that he had for us and that he has for the world today. And so when pastors, church leaders, Bible teachers, mission arm directors, or different mission catalysts, when they're kind of working, with others, it's not this evangelism, or mission is not this tack on, this kind of last thing that you get to after you've done all your spiritual formation stuff, which we get so much of. Another sermon, another Bible study, it just on and on and on. It's not this tack on. What it really is meant to be integral, central to our discipleship, that we are, to be like Christ. And so having the heart of the Father, having the love for the lost. And so when we, as we get into, kind of where this goes and how wide it goes, what we're doing is we're really, in a way, expanding kind of that vision for really what it means to be a follower of him. And, he said it right from the beginning, follow me and I will make you fishers of men. It's kind of interesting. It's not hidden from Jesus, that he connects. My other verse that I really love is John 14:12. Whoever believes in me will do the things that I've been doing. Jesus sees a connection between following him into his mission and being like him. You see what I'm saying? Being like him and being he sees those things connected because they're very formational. They reflect the heart of the Father, the love for the lost. They reflect love. And so, anyways, this is that little bit of that wider conversation, where it goes as far as how our people learn to love others and have compassion and reach others and get out there into wider circles, becomes this deep extension of this Christ-likeness thing that's growing up in us. And so, but I appreciate the conversation, or the question in the conversation, because I feel like it's very relevant today. I feel like we have a lot of believers who that part of their life is really not developed. And we've approached it like it's kind of like this token tack on that every once in a while you're going to bump into somebody and say something about Jesus, which is entirely ineffective and doesn't really lead into people into having that formational aspect in their lives. We need something that looks very different along the lines of relational engagement and love for people outside us and our faith. So a lot of what we're going to do with the Gospel Edge is to go there. Yeah, is to go into those kind of conversations. Hopefully it'll lift up leaders in their thinking and sharpen them, because that's what we really want. So I hope that answered it for you.
I think so. And we're going to be looking forward to going on that mission with you.